The spark of injustice. Naomi Ellison stepped into the gleaming Miami bank, her simple hoodie drawing sneers from the manager, Gregory Holt. Assuming she was a nobody, Holt barked racial slurs, his voice echoing as customers stared. Security grabbed Naomi, dragging her toward the exit, but she stood firm, her voice icy. She revealed she was the CEO of the bank's parent company, ordering the branch shuttered. Holt scoffed, his smirk hinting at untouchable power. Naomi left, resolve blazing, unaware of the storm brewing. What conspiracy lurked behind Holt's confidence? Before diving into this saga, let everyone know where you're watching from, and if you stand for justice, hit like and subscribe, because tomorrow's episode will blow your mind. First victory and immediate backlash. Naomi Ellison's voice still echoed in her mind as she left the Miami bank, her simple hoodie now a symbol of defiance. By noon, the video of her confrontation with Gregory Holt, the sneering manager, exploded across social media. Clips of her revealing her status as CEO of Pinnacle Financial, the bank's parent company, and ordering the branch's closure racked up millions of views. Hashtags like Justice for Naomi trended, and local news stations replayed the moment Holt's face twisted in disbelief, his racial slurs exposed for all to hear. Strangers cheered her on X, calling her a hero for standing up to bigotry. Naomi sat in her sleek downtown office, 20 stories above the city, watching the coverage on her laptop. Her heart swelled with pride, a rare moment of triumph after years of navigating corporate America's subtle and not-so-subtle prejudices. She allowed herself a small smile, believing she had struck a blow against the system that had humiliated her. The branch was set to close in 7 days, and Holt's career seemed finished. She leaned back in her chair, the Miami skyline glinting through floor-to-ceiling windows, and thought this might be the start of real change. Her phone buzzed with messages from allies, and for the first time in hours, she felt the weight of the morning lift. This was her victory, hard-won and undeniable, but the world shifted beneath her. By evening, a breaking news alert flashed across her screen. Pinnacle's board, a group of 12 executives she had long suspected of resenting her rise, issued a statement. They claimed irregularities in Naomi's appointment as CEO, accusing her of forging documents to secure her position. The board, chaired by a silver-haired tycoon named Lawrence Caldwell, announced her immediate suspension pending a full investigation. Naomi's stomach churned as she read the words, each one a calculated stab. The statement cited anonymous sources and referenced a dossier allegedly compiled by Holt, who now appeared on cable news, his smirk sharper than ever. He called Naomi a fraud, claiming she had manipulated Pinnacle's records to pose as CEO. His voice dripped with false sincerity, and the anchors nodded, barely questioning his narrative. Naomi slammed her laptop shut, her office suddenly feeling like a cage. She called her legal team, but their responses were cautious, their confidence shaken by the board's move. The public, so quick to rally behind her, began to fracture. Some posts on X now questioned her credentials, while others accused her of staging the bank incident for clout. Her victory, so bright hours ago, was slipping through her fingers like sand. Naomi refused to crumble. She spent the night in her office, combing through Pinnacle's internal records on her secure server. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up emails, contracts, and board meeting minutes. At 3 in the morning, she found it. A chain of encrypted messages between Holt and Caldwell, hinting at a broader network of executives and bankers across Miami. The messages referenced a coalition dedicated to protecting the old guard, a coded term for white dominance in the financial sector. They discussed strategies to discredit black professionals who rose too high, with Naomi's name appearing repeatedly. One email from Holt, sent weeks before the bank incident, read, "She's getting too powerful. We need to act." Naomi's blood boiled, the screen's glow illuminating her clenched jaw. This was no isolated act of prejudice. It was a conspiracy rooted in systemic racism, designed to keep people like her down. She copied the files to a secure drive, her mind racing with plans. She contacted a journalist, Maya Torres, known for exposing corporate corruption. Maya agreed to meet at a coffee shop in Coconut Grove, promising to amplify Naomi's story. Naomi left her office at dawn, the drive in her pocket, believing she had the upper hand. She could expose Holt and his network, restore her name, and dismantle their power. The sun rose over Miami, casting long shadows, and Naomi felt a flicker of hope. She should have known better. At the coffee shop, as she handed Maya the drive, her phone buzzed with a notification. Her Pinnacle account was locked. She tried logging in from her laptop, but every password failed. Her email, bank accounts, even her social media profiles were inaccessible. A cold sweat broke out on her neck as she realized the truth. Someone had erased her digital identity. Maya's phone pinged with an alert and her face paled. She showed Naomi a news article claiming Pinnacle's servers had been hacked, with Naomi named as the prime suspect. The article cited a cybersecurity firm, secretly funded by Caldwell, that traced the breach to her IP address. Naomi's heart pounded as she scanned the coffee shop, half expecting security to burst in. Maya promised to investigate, but her voice trembled, and Naomi saw doubt in her eyes. She left the shop, her hoodie pulled tight, and walked the humid Miami streets, now a stranger in her own life. Her accounts were gone, her identity stolen, and her name smeared as a criminal. Holt's smirk flashed in her mind, his reach far, greater than she had imagined. She gripped the drive, her only weapon, but it felt heavier now, a fragile thread in a tightening noose. The city pulsed around her, indifferent, as she faced an enemy who played by no rules. Her victory had been a mirage, and the real fight was just beginning. Systemic sabotage and community betrayal. Naomi Ellison trudged through Miami's humid streets, her hoodie soaked with sweat, her digital identity a ghost in the machine. The city's neon lights mocked her, each flicker a reminder of Gregory, Holt's ruthless erasure of her accounts. With no access to her Pinnacle financial resources, she was a shadow of the CEO who had shut down Holt's bank branch 3 days ago. Her viral victory, once a beacon of hope, had crumbled under Holt's fraud accusations and her board's suspension. Yet Naomi's resolve burned brighter than the Florida sun. She headed to Liberty Square, a vibrant black neighborhood where she had mentored youth and funded scholarships. The community center there, a squat building with murals of freedom fighters, was her last refuge. She called a meeting, her voice steady despite sleepless nights, urging residents to protest Pinnacle's racist practices. Faces lit up, hands clapped, and for the first time since the coffee shop betrayal, Naomi felt a spark of strength. By evening, 200 people pledged to march to Pinnacle's downtown headquarters, demanding her reinstatement and Holt's ouster. Naomi stood on a makeshift stage, her words igniting cheers, believing she had rallied a movement to reclaim her name. The protest was set for dawn, a bold stand against systemic injustice. She slept on a cot in the center's office, dreaming of justice. Morning brought chaos. As the crowd gathered, banners raised high, a man Naomi trusted, Marcus Webb, a local activist she had known for 5 years, took the megaphone. His speech, meant to inspire, veered into fiery calls for destruction. Before Naomi could intervene, bottles flew and windows shattered along the march route. Police in riot gear descended, their batons swinging, tear gas clouding the humid air. Naomi shouted for calm, but her voice drowned in the pandemonium. Officers tackled her, cuffs biting. Her wrists as cameras captured her arrest. The news branded her the instigator of a violent riot, erasing her pleas for peace. In a holding cell, the concrete cold against her back, Naomi pieced together the betrayal. Marcus had been too quick to escalate, his eyes avoiding hers. She learned later, through a whispered tip from a fellow detainee, that Holt's consortium had paid Marcus $10,000 to sabotage the protest. Her heart sank, not just for the betrayal, but for the community now vilified alongside her. The cell's dim light cast shadows, mirroring the systemic trap closing around her. She was alone, her allies scattered, and Holt's reach seemed infinite. Yet Naomi's mind refused to break. In the jail's common area, she overheard guards discussing Pinnacle's predatory loans, targeting black families with rates 3 times higher than white clients. Her CEO access might be gone, but her memory of Pinnacle's systems was sharp. Late at night, using a smuggled pencil and a scrap of paper, she sketched a diagram of Holt's financial network, connecting loan schemes to consortium members, including Lawrence Caldwell, the board chair. The numbers told a story of deliberate disenfranchisement, stripping wealth from communities like Liberty Square. Naomi's pulse quickened. This was the evidence to expose Holt's empire. She befriended a janitor, Tasha, who had seen her viral video and believed her. Tasha agreed to smuggle the diagram to Maya Torres, the journalist Naomi had met before. By dawn, Tasha slipped the paper into her cart, promising delivery. Naomi exhaled, believing she had outmaneuvered Holt. If Maya published this, the world would see the truth, and her arrest would be a footnote. She clung to that hope, her fingers tracing the cell's cracks, as the jail's clock ticked toward her bail hearing. Her hope was a fragile flame, snuffed out by Holt's next move. Hours before her hearing, guards stormed her cell, claiming a routine search. They tore through her belongings, pulling a folded document from her mattress. Naomi's breath caught. It wasn't her diagram. The paper, planted by Holt's operatives, detailed a fake scheme to siphon $20 million from Pinnacle's accounts, with Naomi's forged signature at the bottom. The guards sneered, calling her a thief, and the document hit the news, within hours, branding her an embezzler. Her bail hearing turned hostile, the judge, a Caldwell ally, setting bail at $2 million, an impossible sum. The charge carried a life sentence, and public opinion, once split, now vilified her. Ex-posts called her a con artist, and even Liberty Square's residents, reeling from the riot, turned away. Naomi sat in her cell, the weight of Holt's trap crushing her. Tasha's terrified glance confirmed the diagram never reached Maya. Holt's smirk, that venomous curl from the bank, haunted her. He had turned her community against her, framed her as a criminal mastermind, and left her with nothing. Would Naomi find a way to fight back, or had Holt's consortium buried her for good? Drop a comment with number 1 if you're outraged by this betrayal. Hit like and subscribe to see justice unfold, because Naomi's next move will shock you. False hope and family threat. Naomi Ellison sat in the Miami jail cell, the weight of the embezzlement charge pressing against her chest like a stone. 5 days had passed since Gregory Holt's operatives planted fake documents, branding her a thief plotting to siphon $20 million from Pinnacle Financial. The concrete walls seemed to pulse with Holt's smirk, his consortium's reach suffocating her. Her community, once a pillar of strength, had turned away after the sabotaged protest, and the media painted her as a criminal mastermind. Yet a flicker of hope emerged when a lawyer, Elena Vasquez, visited her. Elena, a sharp-eyed Latina with a reputation for fighting corporate corruption, believed Naomi's story. She had seen the viral video of Naomi's bank confrontation and dug into Holt's history, uncovering whispers of his racist network. Working pro bono, Elena leveraged her contacts to secure Naomi's release on a technicality, arguing the planted evidence lacked a chain of custody. The judge, visibly annoyed, set a reduced bail of $200,000, which Elena's firm covered. Naomi stepped into the humid Miami dusk, free but fragile, her hoodie a tattered shield. Elena drove her to a safe apartment in Overtown, promising to fight the charges. Naomi's heart lifted, believing she had an ally to dismantle Holt's lies. In the apartment, surrounded by bare walls and a humming air conditioner, Naomi and Elena pored over case files under the glow of a single lamp. Elena's laptop pinged with a message from a whistleblower, a former Pinnacle accountant named Darius Klein. Darius claimed to have documents proving Holt's consortium manipulated loan approvals to bankrupt black businesses, funneling profits to white-owned firms. The files, stored on a private server, detailed transactions implicating Holt and Lawrence Caldwell, the board chair. Naomi's pulse raced as she read Darius's email, each word a weapon to expose the systemic racism embedded in Pinnacle's operations. She pictured herself clearing her name, restoring her CEO title, and saving Liberty Square from financial ruin. Eleanor arranged a meeting with Darius at a diner in Little Havana, 10 miles away, set for midnight. Naomi gripped Elena's hand, gratitude mingling with resolve. She believed they were close to cracking Holt's empire, that justice was within reach. The apartment's silence felt alive with possibility, and Naomi allowed herself to dream of her sister Kayla, cheering her victory. For the first time in weeks, she slept without nightmares. The diner meeting a beacon in the dark. Dawn brought devastation. Naomi woke to Eleanor's frantic call. Hackers had breached Eleanor's law firm overnight, wiping their servers and stealing client data, including Darius's files. Worse, the attack was traced to Naomi's old Pinnacle login, reactivated by Holt's operatives to frame her for the cybercrime. News outlets, fed by Caldwell's PR machine, ran headlines accusing Naomi of targeting her own lawyer to cover her embezzlement tracks. Elena's firm faced lawsuits, and her partners pressured her to drop Naomi's case. Naomi's hope curdled into dread as she checked her phone, finding a text from Kayla, her sister, a nurse at Miami General. Kayla had been fired that morning, accused of stealing medication, a lie spread by a hospital board member linked to Caldwell. The accusation mirrored Holt's playbook, a calculated strike to isolate Naomi by targeting her family. Kayla's voice cracked over the phone, her dreams of opening a clinic shattered. Naomi's chest tightened, guilt flooding her. She had dragged her sister into this war. Determined to fight back, Naomi convinced Elena to hold a press conference outside the courthouse 3 days away to reveal Darius's identity and rally public support. Despite the hack, Darius promised to bring physical copies of the files. Naomi stood before a mirror practicing her speech, believing she could turn the tide. The press conference would be her stand, a chance to expose Holt and save Kayla. The courthouse steps buzzed with reporters as Naomi and Elena arrived, Darius at their side, clutching a folder thick with documents. Naomi faced the cameras, her voice steady, recounting Holt's racism and the consortium's schemes. The crowd grew, some cheering, others skeptical, but she felt the momentum shift. She believed she had reclaimed her narrative, that the truth would prevail. Then a deafening blast shook the air. A car parked 50 feet away exploded, flames licking the sky, shrapnel raining down. Screams erupted as reporters scattered, and Naomi dove to shield Elena. The blast injured 12 people, including Kayla, who had come to support her sister. Kayla lay bleeding, a gash across her arm as paramedics rushed in. News vans captured the chaos, and within minutes, Holt's media allies pinned the bombing on Naomi, claiming she staged it to silence Darius. The folder was gone, snatched in. The panic, and Darius vanished, later found shaken but unharmed. Naomi knelt beside Kayla, her sister's pain a knife in her gut. Holt's operatives had struck again, turning her moment of triumph into a nightmare. The courthouse loomed behind her, a monument to a system rigged against her. Kayla's blood stained her hands and Holt's invisible grip tightened. How could Naomi fight an enemy who turned every victory into a trap? Fugitives, fight, and betrayal. Naomi Ellison crouched in the shadows of a Miami alley, the stench of garbage mingling with the humid night air. 6 days had passed since the car bomb at the courthouse, a brutal strike by Gregory Holt's operatives that injured her sister, Kayla, and 12 others. The media, fueled by Holt's consortium, branded Naomi a terrorist, erasing her truth as Pinnacle Financial's CEO. Her press conference, meant to expose Holt's racist schemes, had become a trap, leaving Kayla bleeding and Naomi's name synonymous with chaos. With no digital identity, no allies, and a $2 million bail she couldn't meet, Naomi was a fugitive. She slipped into Alapata, a gritty neighborhood far from her downtown office, her hoodie a fragile disguise. A contact from Liberty Square connected her to Javier Ruiz, a tech activist with a reputation for cracking corporate firewalls. Javier's basement hideout, cluttered with monitors and energy drink cans, buzzed with defiance. He believed Naomi's story, having seen the viral bank video, and agreed to hack Holt's servers to find evidence of his network's loan scams targeting black communities. Naomi's chest tightened with hope as Javier's fingers danced across his keyboard, believing they could resurrect her fight. By midnight, they accessed a server, downloading files that linked Holt to predatory lending and money laundering. Naomi exhaled, picturing the world seeing the truth. The next dawn, Javier uploaded the files to a dark web forum, and within hours, they spread across X, sparking protests outside Pinnacle's headquarters. News outlets, pressured by public outcry, began questioning Holt's narrative. Posts with justice for Naomi surged, and Naomi, watching from Javier's flickering monitors, felt a rush of vindication. She believed she had turned the tide, that her evidence would dismantle Holt's empire and clear her name. Protesters chanted her name, their voices echoing through Miami's streets 5 miles away. Javier grinned, calling her a legend, and Naomi allowed herself a moment of pride. She imagined Kayla recovering in the hospital, smiling at the news. The files detailed transactions worth $30 million, implicating Holt and Lawrence. Caldwell in a racist conspiracy to bankrupt black businesses. Naomi planned to send the files to Maya Torres, the journalist she had trusted before, to amplify their reach. She typed a message to Maya, her fingers trembling with anticipation, believing she had outsmarted Holt's media machine. The basement's hum felt like a heartbeat, pulsing with the promise of justice. Hope was a cruel illusion. By noon, a breaking news alert shattered their victory. Holt, backed by Caldwell's PR firm, held a press conference, labeling Naomi a domestic terrorist orchestrating cyber attacks to destabilize Miami's economy. He claimed the leaked files were fabricated, part of her vendetta against Pinnacle. The mayor, a Caldwell ally, issued a citywide manhunt, offering a $100,000 reward for Naomi's capture. Police flooded Alapata, their sirens a relentless wail. Naomi's stomach churned as Javier's monitors flashed with her wanted poster, her face plastered across every screen. She urged Javier to keep fighting, but his eyes darted nervously. Hours later, as they planned their next move, footsteps thundered above. Javier's face paled and Naomi realized the truth too late. He had been coerced by Holt's operatives, paid $50,000 to reveal her location. The basement door splintered, and masked enforcers stormed in, their boots shaking the floor. They doused the room with gasoline, flames erupting as Naomi scrambled through a back exit. The safe house burned, monitors melting into black husks, and Naomi stumbled into the night, coughing, her lungs searing. The fire's roar drowned her screams, and Javier vanished into the chaos, his betrayal a fresh wound. Naomi clutched a USB drive, a last-minute backup of the files, and fled to a derelict warehouse 3 miles away. Her hands shook as she plugged the drive into a scavenged laptop, believing she could still salvage her fight. The screen flickered, then froze. Holt's hackers embedded in the dark web forum had corrupted the files, replacing them with gibberish. A pop-up message mocked her, signed with Holt's initials, promising she would never escape. News reports, now synced with Holt's narrative, claimed Naomi had burned the safe house to cover her tracks. The manhunt intensified, with bounty hunters joining the chase, their radios crackling in the distance. Naomi's legs buckled, the warehouse's damp walls closing in, Kayla's bloodied face, Marcus's betrayal, and now Javier's treachery haunted her. Holt's consortium had turned. Her evidence to ash, her allies to enemies, and her hope to despair. She gripped the useless drive, its weight a reminder of her fading chances. Miami's skyline loomed beyond the warehouse, a glittering trap. Could Naomi rise from this inferno, or would Holt's flames consume her entirely? Drop a comment with Number 1 if you're stunned by this betrayal. Hit like and subscribe to see if Naomi can fight back, because her next stand will leave you speechless. Devastating loss and new ally. Naomi Ellison huddled in the damp warehouse, the Miami skyline a cruel mirage beyond its cracked windows. 7 days had passed since Gregory Holt's enforcers burned her safe house, leaving her fugitive dreams in ashes. The corrupted USB drive, once her last hope to expose Holt's racist loan scams, now lay useless in her trembling hand. Holt's terrorist label had turned Miami's streets into a gauntlet, with bounty hunters stalking her every move. Her sister, Kayla, still recovered from the courthouse bombing, and the betrayal of Javier, her tech ally, stung like salt in a wound. Naomi's legs ached, her hoodie torn, her body screaming for rest. She stared at the warehouse's peeling walls, the weight of Holt's consortium crushing her spirit. Pinnacle Financial, where she was CEO, felt like a distant memory. Her viral bank victory a fading echo. She considered turning herself in, trading freedom for safety, her resolve fraying under the relentless pressure. The city's humid air pressed against her, each breath a reminder of her isolation. She clutched her phone, its battery at 5%, and scrolled to a photo of her parents, their smiles a lifeline. Surrender seemed her only path, but fate had other plans. A sharp knock jolted her. Naomi froze, expecting bounty hunters, but a voice called her name, low and urgent. It was Clara Monroe, a former Pinnacle banker fired for questioning Holt's practices. Clara, a wiry woman with grey streaks in her braids, had tracked Naomi through whispers in Liberty Square. She slid a folder through the warehouse door, her eyes darting for danger. Inside were insider documents, printouts of emails and ledgers, proving Holt and Lawrence Caldwell laundered $35 million through shell companies to fund their racist network. The files detailed how they targeted black neighborhoods with foreclosures, funneling wealth to white elites. Naomi's heart raced, the papers trembling in her hands. Clara explained she had stolen the documents before her firing, hiding them in a safe deposit box. She believed Naomi could expose the truth, having seen her stand against Holt in the viral video. Naomi's despair lifted, replaced by a flicker of defiance. She planned to leak the files to Maya Torres, the journalist she had trusted twice before, believing this evidence was unassailable. Clara offered a burner phone and a hideout in Hialeah, 10 miles north, to strategize. Naomi followed, her steps lighter, convinced she had found a true ally. The Hialeah apartment, a cramped space with peeling wallpaper, buzzed with possibility. As they drafted a plan to send the files by midnight, hope was a fragile spark, extinguished by Holt's next strike. Hours after settling in Hialeah, Naomi's phone lit up with a news alert. Her parents' home in Opa-locka, 15 miles away, had been torched in a deliberate arson. Firefighters pulled her parents from the flames, but both were hospitalized, their lungs scarred by smoke. The news, orchestrated by Caldwell's media allies, claimed Naomi set the fire to destroy evidence of her embezzlement, a lie that turned public opinion venomous. Posts on X called her a monster, and even Kayla, still bandaged, texted her disbelief, begging Naomi to stop. Naomi's knees buckled, guilt and rage colliding. Her parents, who had marched for civil rights in the 60s, were now pawns in Holt's game. She vowed to fight on, but the apartment's walls seemed to close in, the burner phone's signal fading. Clara urged her to focus, and they sent the files to Maya, believing the leak would shift the narrative. Naomi pictured the world condemning Holt, her parents safe, her name cleared. She clung to that vision, whispering a prayer as the upload completed, the Hialeah night thick with tension. Holt's retaliation was swift and merciless. Before Maya could publish, Clara's phone rang, a distorted voice demanding Naomi meet at a pier in Key Biscayne, 8 miles south. Holt's operatives had kidnapped Clara's brother, Ethan, a teacher with no ties to the fight, holding him hostage to force Naomi's compliance. The voice instructed her to bring the documents, threatening Ethan's life. Naomi's stomach twisted, but Clara's tear-streaked face left no choice. They drove to the pier, the folder clutched tight, the ocean's waves crashing like Naomi's crumbling resolve. At the pier, Holt's masked enforcers waited, Ethan bound and gagged. Naomi handed over the documents, believing she had saved him, but the enforcers tossed the folder into a fire barrel, flames devouring the evidence. Ethan was released, stumbling into Clara's arms, but a camera drone hovered above, broadcasting Naomi's confession to the kidnapping, doctored to paint her as the mastermind. The video hit news networks within minutes, claiming she staged the arson and kidnapping to extort Pinnacle. Naomi fled, the pier's salt air stinging her eyes, Clara and Ethan trailing behind. Holt had turned her sacrifice into a spectacle, her evidence to smoke, her allies to liabilities. The city's lights blurred as she ran, Holt's invisible, grip tightening. How could Naomi rebuild from this wreckage, with her family broken and her truth burned to ash? High-stakes infiltration and reversal. Naomi Ellison sprinted through Miami's rain-slicked streets, the sting of betrayal and loss fueling her steps. 8 days had passed since Gregory Holt's operatives torched her parents' home, hospitalized them, and broadcast a doctored confession painting her as a kidnapper. The Hialeah safe house where she had pinned her hopes on leaked documents was a memory, its evidence burned by Holt's ruthless consortium. Naomi, still a fugitive with a $100,000 bounty, hid in a derelict motel in Dade County, her torn hoodie barely shielding her from the 90-degree heat. Her sister, Kayla, and parents were broken by Holt's attacks, and her CEO title at Pinnacle Financial felt like a cruel joke, yet surrender was not in her blood. Clara Monroe, the rogue banker who had risked everything, stayed by her side, their bond forged in shared defiance. Clara revealed a lead. Holt stored physical evidence of his loan scams in a vault at Pinnacle's headquarters, a fortress-like building downtown, 15 stories of glass and steel. Naomi's eyes gleamed with resolve. If she could steal those files, she could expose Holt's $35 million laundering scheme and clear her name. She and Clara devised a plan to infiltrate the headquarters at midnight, using Clara's old access codes. Naomi believed this was her chance to strike back, her heart pounding with the promise of justice. Under a moonless sky, Naomi and Clara slipped into Pinnacle's loading dock, disguised as maintenance workers. Clara's codes bypassed the outer alarms, and Naomi's memory of the building's layout guided them through shadowed corridors. The vault, buried 3 floors below ground, was guarded by cameras and a biometric lock. Naomi's pulse thundered as she hacked the cameras, looping their feed with Javier's old tricks, while Clara disabled the lock with a stolen keycard. The vault door hissed open, revealing stacks of ledgers and drives. Naomi grabbed a binder, detailing Holt's transactions, each page a damning link to his racist network. Her hands shook with triumph, the weight of the binder a lifeline. She believed she had won, that these files would topple Holt and Lawrence Caldwell, restoring her family's safety. They slipped out, dodging patrols, and reached a van Clara had parked 2 blocks away. Naomi clutched the binder, her breath steady for the first time in weeks, envisioning Maya Torres publishing the truth to millions. The van's engine purred, and Miami's neon haze felt alive with victory. That victory was a mirage. A security guard, bribed by Holt with $20,000, had planted a tracker in Naomi's backpack during the infiltration. As the van sped toward Overtown, headlights flared behind them. Holt's enforcers, driving black SUVs, rammed the van, forcing it into an empty lot. Masked men surrounded them, their guns glinting in the rain. They snatched the binder, dousing it with gasoline and setting it ablaze, the flames devouring Naomi's proof. The enforcers smashed Clara's laptop, framing the break-in as Naomi's desperate crime. Police sirens wailed, and Naomi and Clara fled, barely escaping through a storm drain, their clothes soaked and spirits shattered. News reports, fed by Caldwell's machine, claimed Naomi had burgled Pinnacle to cover her embezzlement, adding, breaking and entering to her charges. Her wanted poster now listed her as armed and dangerous. The bounty doubled. Naomi's chest heaved as she hid in a Liberty Square alley, Clara panting beside her. The ashes of the binder lingered in her mind, Holt's smirk a constant shadow. She refused to break, rallying supporters via a burner phone, urging a protest outside Pinnacle in 2 days. Hundreds pledged to join, their voices a faint echo of her viral fame. Naomi believed she could rebuild public trust, her defiance a spark in the dark. Holt's next move was a masterstroke of cruelty. As the protest gathered, 500 strong with banners demanding justice, a fleet of armored trucks stormed a nearby Pinnacle branch. Masked robbers, hired by Holt's consortium, looted the vault, firing warning shots that sent protesters scattering. The heist, staged to look like Naomi's doing, was broadcast live, with news anchors claiming her radical followers had turned to crime. Police arrested dozens of protesters, and the media labeled Naomi a terrorist leader, her Justice for Naomi hashtag drowned by accusations of violence. The protest collapsed, her supporters vilified, and Clara's resolve wavered, her brother's kidnapping still raw. Naomi crouched in the alley, rain pooling around her, the city's pulse a mocking rhythm. Holt had turned her stand into a spectacle, her allies into scapegoats, her hope into despair. The headquarters loomed in her memory, a fortress she had breached only to lose everything. Her family's pain, the burned evidence, and now this staged heist weighed on her soul. Could Naomi claw her way back from this orchestrated chaos, or had Holt's consortium sealed her fate forever? Drop a comment with number 1 if you're furious at this injustice, hit like, and subscribe to see Naomi's next fight, because her courage will leave you stunned. Public exposure and catastrophe. Naomi Ellison crouched in a Liberty Square alley, the rain-soaked concrete cold against her knees. 9 days had passed since Gregory Holt's staged bank heist turned her protest into a media circus, branding her a terrorist leader. The ashes of her stolen evidence from Pinnacle Financial's vault still haunted her, and the $200,000 bounty on her head made every shadow a threat. Her family, broken by Holt's arson and bombing, clung to life in hospitals, while her supporters faced jail after the heist. Clara Monroe, her sole ally, whispered plans in the alley's gloom, their breaths visible in the 75-degree night. Naomi's torn hoodie clung to her skin, her CEO days a distant memory, yet her fire burned. Clara had learned of a banking summit at Miami's convention center 5 miles away, where Holt would speak live on national TV. Naomi saw a chance to hijack the broadcast, exposing his $35 million loan scam to millions. She believed this public stand could shatter Holt's grip, clear her name and free her supporters. With Clara's stolen press pass, they plotted to infiltrate the summit, Naomi's heart racing with defiance. The convention center's glitz loomed in her mind, a stage for her truth. At midnight, Naomi and Clara slipped into the convention center disguised as reporters. The summit buzzed with suits and cameras, Holt's face plastered on banners. Naomi's pulse hammered as she hacked a control room laptop, using skills from her fugitive days. Clara stood watch, her eyes scanning for guards. Naomi looped the broadcast feed, inserting a video she had recorded in the alley, detailing Holt's racist network and Pinnacle's predatory lending. As Holt took the stage, his smug voice echoing, Naomi hit play. Her video blasted across the screens, her face fierce, accusing Holt and Lawrence Caldwell of bankrupting black communities. The crowd gasped, phones recording, and X lit up with millions of views. Protesters outside chanted her name, their voices shaking the glass walls. Naomi's chest swelled, believing she had exposed Holt to the world. She pictured Kayla, her sister, smiling from her hospital bed, and her parents fighting to breathe, finding hope. The summit's lights dimmed, her truth blazing, and Naomi gripped Clara's hand, convinced she had finally won. This was her moment, a beacon to dismantle Holt's empire. Victory was a fleeting dream. Holt, unruffled on stage, signaled his team. Within minutes, a deep-fake video replaced Naomi's, showing her confessing to fabricating the loan scam to extort Pinnacle. The fake was flawless, her voice and mannerisms chillingly accurate, crafted by Caldwell's tech allies. The crowd turned hostile, boos drowning the chants outside. Reporters, fed by Holt's PR machine, tweeted the deepfake as truth, and Naomi's viral exposure flipped into disgrace. Before she could react, Holt's operatives detonated smoke bombs in the convention center, their hissing clouds sparking panic. Screams filled the air as attendees fled coughing, while news cameras captured the chaos. Holt's media spun the bombs as Naomi's terrorist attack, claiming she aimed to silence the summit. Police stormed in, arresting 50 of her supporters. Outside, their banners trampled in the stampede. Naomi and Clara dove through a service exit, escaping into Miami's humid chaos, their lungs burning. The deepfake looped on every channel, Naomi's face now a symbol of betrayal. Her triumph had been hijacked, her truth twisted and her allies caged. She stumbled into a downtown alley, Clara trailing, the city's pulse a mocking rhythm. Desperation clawed at Naomi, but a glint of hope emerged. In the alley, Clara revealed a rumor from her banking days. A hidden server in a data center, 2 miles away in Wynwood, stored Holt's unedited files. The server, a backup for Pinnacle's illicit deals, held proof of the loan scams and money laundering. Naomi's eyes narrowed, the alley's shadows fueling her resolve. She and Clara broke into the data center, a sterile maze of humming machines using Clara's old credentials. Naomi's fingers flew across a terminal, accessing the server, its files a goldmine of Holt's crimes. She believed she could salvage her fight, leak the truth, and free her supporters. The screen glowed, each file a step toward redemption. But Holt's hackers, monitoring the server, struck with ruthless precision. As Naomi downloaded the files, the data center's lights flickered, then died. A city-wide blackout triggered by Holt's operatives plunged Miami into darkness, sirens wailing in the distance. The terminal sparked, locking Naomi and Clara. Inside, their exit blocked by steel shutters. Holt's mercenaries, alerted by the hack, closed in, their footsteps echoing in the blackout's eerie silence. Naomi's heart pounded, the server's hum fading, her family's faces flashing in her mind. Holt had turned her final stand into a trap, the city his weapon. Would Naomi escape this suffocating darkness, or had Holt's consortium buried her beneath Miami's blackout? Desperate alliance and ambush. Naomi Ellison's heart thundered in the pitch-black data center, Miami's skyline swallowed by a city-wide blackout orchestrated by Gregory Holt's hackers. 10 days had passed since the smoke bombs at the banking. Summit turned her broadcast into a terrorist spectacle, jailing 50 supporters and branding her a national threat. The hidden server, her last hope to expose Holt's $35 million loan scam, flickered before crashing, trapping her and Clara Monroe in a maze of dead machines. Naomi's torn hoodie clung to her sweat-soaked skin, the air thick with the hum of dying servers. Holt's mercenaries, their boots echoing closer, tightened the noose. Clara, her ally through every betrayal, clutched a flashlight, its beam slicing the darkness. Naomi's fingers scrambled across a terminal, rebooting it with a jury-rigged battery desperate to salvage the files. A message blinked. A disgraced journalist, Maya Torres, had traced Naomi's hack attempt and offered help. Maya, once skeptical, now believed Naomi's fight, having dodged Holt's threats herself. Naomi sent their location, and Maya, navigating the blackout's chaos, pried open a service hatch, guiding them through a ventilation shaft. They emerged in a windward alley, 5 miles from downtown, gasping in the 80-degree night. Naomi believed Maya's platform could leak the server files, exposing Holt to millions. Her resolve surged, picturing her parents and sister, broken by Holt's attacks, finding justice. In a rundown motel in Little Haiti, Naomi, Clara, and Maya huddled over a burner laptop, the server files partially recovered. The documents detailed Holt's network, linking Pinnacle Financial to foreclosures that gutted black neighborhoods, funneling profits to Lawrence Caldwell's cronies. Naomi's eyes burned with purpose as she transferred the files to Maya's encrypted drive, believing this leak would shatter Holt's lies. By dawn, Maya uploaded the files to her underground news site, and within hours X buzzed with outrage. Protesters, though fewer after the Summit arrests, rallied outside City Hall 3 miles away, chanting Naomi's name. News outlets, pressured by public demand, debated the files' authenticity, and justice for Naomi trended again. Naomi's chest swelled, her fugitive status fading in the glow of truth. She imagined her parents, fighting for breath in the hospital, hearing the chants, and Kayla, scarred by the bombing, smiling at last. Maya vowed to pitch the story to national networks, and Naomi believed she had regained momentum, that Holt's empire was cracking. The motel's cracked walls felt like a fortress, the laptops hum a battle cry as they planned to amplify the leak by noon. Holt's retaliation struck like lightning. Before Maya's story could break nationally, a major news outlet, bribed with $2 million by Caldwell, published a hit piece dismissing the files as forgeries. The article, laced with Holt's spin, claimed Naomi fabricated the data to fuel her terrorist agenda, citing expert analysis from a consortium-funded firm. Public support wavered, and ex-posts turned venomous, accusing Naomi of deception. Worse came at dusk, when a hospital alert pierced the motel's silence. Holt's operatives, posing as maintenance workers, had cut the life support for Naomi's parents, still recovering from the Opa-locka arson. Nurses restored power in time, but the attack left her parents frail, their survival uncertain. Naomi's knees buckled, guilt and rage flooding her. Her parents, symbols of resilience, were now Holt's pawns, their lives weaponized to break her. Clara's hand steadied her, but the motel's air grew suffocating. Determined to fight, Naomi leveraged Maya's contacts to secure a meeting with Senator Alicia Reyes, a rising star known for challenging corporate greed. Reyes, moved by the viral bank video, agreed to meet at her office in Coral Gables, 7 miles away, to review the files and push for a federal probe. Naomi believed Reyes could be her shield, a powerful ally to topple Holt. She memorized her speech, her voice steady, picturing the senator's support as her path to victory. The Coral Gables office, a sleek building with palm-lined paths, buzzed. With aides as Naomi and Maya arrived, Clara guarding their escape route. Naomi faced Reyes, a woman with piercing eyes, and presented the files, her words raw with urgency. She detailed Holt's scams, the arson, the bombing, and now the hospital attack, pleading for justice. Reyes nodded, her pen scratching notes, and promised to escalate the case. Naomi's heart soared, believing she had secured a lifeline. That Holt's consortium would face federal scrutiny. She stepped outside, the evening breeze a rare comfort, ready to plan the next leak. Then gunfire erupted. Holt's operatives, disguised as security, stormed the office, their rifles spraying. Bullets. Aides screamed, diving for cover, as Naomi and Maya ducked behind a desk. The attackers trashed the files, planting evidence linking Naomi to the assault. News vans, tipped by Caldwell, arrived instantly, broadcasting the ambush as Naomi's attack on Reyes. The senator, unharmed but shaken, denounced Naomi on live TV, swayed by the planted evidence. Naomi and Maya fled through a back exit, Clara dragging them into a stolen car, but the damage was done. Holt's media machine labeled Naomi a warlord, her senator ally lost, her files ruined. The city's lights flickered, still reeling from the blackout as Naomi's hope bled out. Holt had turned her plea into a battlefield, her truth into a lie. Could Naomi rise from this ambush, with her allies dwindling and her family's lives hanging by a thread? Drop a comment with number 1 if you're enraged by this systemic betrayal. Hit like and subscribe to see Naomi's next stand, because her fight will grip your soul. Courtroom drama and sabotage. Naomi Ellison's wrists chafed under police cuffs as she was dragged through Miami's courthouse, the marble halls echoing with her infamy. 11 days had passed since Gregory Holt's operatives ambushed Senator Reyes's office, framing Naomi for the attack and branding her a warlord. The citywide blackout, Holt's trap to bury her in the data center, still lingered in her nightmares, as did the attack on her parents' life support. Her fugitive run ended when a bounty hunter, lured by the $200,000 reward, cornered her in a Coral Gables alley. Now arrested and vilified, Naomi faced a trial for terrorism, embezzlement, and assault, her CEO days at Pinnacle Financial a cruel memory. Clara Monroe and Maya Torres, her last allies, worked tirelessly to secure a defense. A new lawyer, Daniel Park, a Korean-American with a fire for justice, took her case pro bono, believing her viral bank video exposed systemic racism. Daniel navigated Miami's biased courts, granting Naomi a trial despite Holt's media machine. As she sat in the defendant's chair, the courtroom's fluorescent lights glaring, Naomi clung to a shred of hope. Daniel promised to present surviving server files, salvaged from Maya's drive, to sway the jury. She believed this trial could clear her name, her family's pain fueling her resolve. The courtroom buzzed with reporters, their cameras trained on Naomi's weary face. Daniel stood tall, his voice cutting through the murmurs, presenting the files that detailed Holt's $35 million loan scam targeting black communities. He called Maya as a witness, her testimony tracing the files from the data center to her site, debunking Holt's forgery claims. Jurors leaned forward, some nodding, as Daniel linked the scams to Lawrence Caldwell's consortium, exposing their racist foreclosures. Naomi's heart lifted, sensing the tide turning. A juror, a black woman with kind eyes, met her gaze, offering a flicker of empathy. Daniel's closing argument, a searing indictment of Pinnacle's greed, drew gasps from the gallery. Reporters scribbled furiously, and ex-posts revived justice for Naomi with 10,000 likes in hours. Naomi believed she had won, that the jury would see her truth, freeing her to rebuild her family's lives. She pictured her parents, frail but alive, and Kayla, scarred but hopeful, cheering her victory. The courtroom's air crackled with possibility, Daniel's words a beacon in her darkest hour. She gripped the table, her knuckles pale, believing justice was hers at last. Holt's shadow loomed larger than truth. On the trial's final day, the judge, a Caldwell ally bribed with $3 million, declared a mistrial, citing procedural errors in Daniel's evidence. The courtroom erupted, jurors stunned as Naomi's hope shattered. Daniel's protests were silenced, and reporters fed by Holt's PR spun the mistrial as proof of Naomi's guilt. The judge doubled her bail to $4 million, an impossible sum ensuring her return to jail. Naomi's chest tightened, the kind juror's gaze now averted. That night, Holt's operatives escalated their cruelty. Posing as utility workers, they sabotaged Daniel's home in Kendall, 12 miles away, rigging a gas leak that exploded, hospitalizing his wife and daughter with severe burns. News outlets tipped by Caldwell hinted Naomi's associates caused the blast to intimidate her lawyer. Daniel, shaken but defiant, vowed to refile the case, but his firm's resources dwindled. Naomi, back in her cell, felt guilt choke. Her fight had endangered another family, mirroring her parents' and Kayla's suffering. The cell's concrete walls seemed to pulse with Holt's smirk, his consortium's reach infinite. Naomi refused to break. From her cell, she used a smuggled phone passed by a sympathetic guard to organize a crowdfunding campaign. Clara and Maya launched it on a secure platform, urging supporters to fund a new defense. The campaign, titled Truth for Naomi, spread across X, raising $100,000 in 2 days. Donors posted stories of Pinnacle's predatory loans, their voices amplifying Naomi's cause. Protesters, though battered by arrests, gathered outside the jail, 100 strong, their signs demanding her release. Naomi's spirit soared, believing this public support could pressure the courts for a retrial. She whispered thanks to the guard, her voice steady, picturing Daniel's family recovering and her own reuniting. The campaign's momentum felt like a lifeline, each donation a brick in her defense. She believed she had outmaneuvered Holt, that the people's power would shield her. The cell's dim light cast a faint glow, her hope a stubborn ember in the darkness. Holt's hackers struck with surgical precision. As the campaign hit $200,000, the platform crashed, its funds siphoned to an offshore account. Holt's operatives, embedded in the site's code, planted evidence framing Naomi for money laundering, claiming she stole the donations to fund her terrorist network. News reports synchronized by Caldwell's machine ran headlines accusing her of exploiting supporters, adding federal charges that carried decades in prison. The donors, once her lifeline, turned bitter, flooding X with betrayal. Protesters dwindled, their signs abandoned, and even Clara's texts grew sparse, her faith shaken by the losses. Naomi sat in her cell, the smuggled phone dead. The guard, now wary. Her family's pain, Daniel's ruined home, and now this theft crushed her. Holt had turned her hope into a crime, her supporters into accusers, her fight into a noose. The courthouse loomed in her memory, a rigged arena where truth died. Could Naomi find a spark to fight this new betrayal, or had Holt's lies chained her forever? Public uprising and near death. Naomi Ellison sat in her Miami jail cell, the cold steel bench biting into her thighs, her spirit battered but unbroken. 12 days had passed since Gregory Holt's hackers stole her crowdfunding funds, framing her for money laundering and adding federal charges to her rap sheet. The mistrial, orchestrated by a bribed judge, and the explosion that hospitalized her lawyer's family had crushed her courtroom hopes. Her parents and sister, scarred by Holt's relentless attacks, clung to life, while her $200,000 bounty made every guard a potential betrayer. Yet Naomi's fire burned. Clara Monroe and Maya Torres, her dwindling allies, smuggled messages through a sympathetic guard, revealing a city council meeting set to be televised live from downtown, 3 miles away. Holt, Pinnacle Financial's puppet master, would attend, his smug presence a chance for Naomi to confront him. She believed a public exposure could rally her supporters, jailed since the summit chaos, and clear her name. Using a stolen uniform, Naomi escaped her cell, slipping past guards in the humid dawn. her torn hoodie swapped for a janitor's disguise, she headed to the council chambers, her heart pounding with defiance, ready to turn Holt's stage into her battlefield. The council meeting buzzed with cameras and suits, Holt seated at the dais, his smirk a knife in Naomi's chest. She hid in a balcony, her stolen press pass granting access, and hacked the broadcast feed with Maya's burner laptop. As Holt praised Pinnacle's community outreach, Naomi overrode the signal, her face filling the screens. Her voice, raw with fury, accused him of $35 million loan scams, arson and bombings, all to crush black wealth. The chamber froze, councillors stunned, as her words reached millions. Outside, 1,000 supporters, galvanized by Clara's calls, protested, their chants shaking the building's glass walls. X exploded with 20,000 posts, Justice for Naomi trending globally. Naomi's chest swelled, believing she had cornered Holt, that her truth would free her allies and family. She pictured Kayla's scarred smile, her parents' frail hands clapping, and Daniel, her lawyer, nodding from his hospital vigil. The broadcast's glow bathed her, a fleeting triumph in her fugitive nightmare. She believed this was her moment. The spark to topple Holt's consortium and reclaim her CEO legacy. Holt's cruelty struck faster than light. As Naomi's broadcast ended, he signaled his operatives, their eyes glinting in the crowd. Outside, hired agitators, paid $100,000 by Lawrence Caldwell, sparked a riot, hurling bricks and Molotov cocktails. The protest turned. Chaotic police firing tear gas and news cameras tipped by Holt framed Naomi's speech as incitement. Before she could flee, a sniper perched on a rooftop 200 yards away fired a single shot. The bullet grazed Naomi's shoulder, blood soaking her disguise as she collapsed, pain searing her vision. Clara dragged her through a service exit, Maya covering their escape, as the chamber erupted in screams. Naomi, barely conscious, woke in a Liberty Square hideout, a cramped attic above a barbershop 10 miles from downtown. Her shoulder throbbed, bandaged by Clara's shaky hands, but she survived, her pulse a stubborn drum. The news, synced with Holt's machine, claimed she orchestrated the riot and shot herself to fake martyrdom. Her supporters, 100 arrested, faced felony charges and X turned hostile, her hashtag buried under hate. Naomi's mind refused to shatter. In the attic, nursing her wound, she hacked a stolen tablet, tracing Holt's recent emails. One, sent to a lobbying firm, revealed his plan to push discriminatory banking laws, easing foreclosures on black-owned properties to enrich his consortium. The laws, set for a state vote in 7 days, would cement his network's grip on Miami's wealth. Naomi's blood boiled, the tablet's glow illuminating her clenched jaw. This was Holt's endgame, a legal weapon to destroy communities like Liberty Square. She believed exposing this could shift the narrative, rally her remaining allies, and stop the vote. Clara and Maya, though shaken, vowed to help, their eyes fierce with shared pain. The attic's stifling air pulsed with purpose, Naomi's wound a badge of her fight. She planned to leak the emails, believing she could outmaneuver Holt's media. Lies. Her parents' frail faces, Kayla's scars and Daniel's loss drove her forward, her hope a flickering candle. Holt's operatives delivered a final blow. As Naomi drafted the leak, explosions rocked the hideout. Holt's team, tipped by a bribed neighbor, bombed the barbershop below, flames roaring through the attic's floor. Smoke choked Naomi's lungs as she, Clara, and Maya scrambled through. A skylight leaping to an adjacent roof. The blast injured 12 residents, and news vans, prepositioned by Caldwell, blamed Naomi's terrorist cell. Holt declared a city emergency, citing her violence, and police locked down Liberty Square, their sirens a relentless wail. Naomi fled, her shoulders screaming, the tablet lost in the fire. Her supporters dwindled to a handful, Clara and Maya, barely ahead as bounty hunters closed in. Holt had turned her hideout to rubble, her plan to ash, her truth to terror. Miami's skyline loomed, a glittering cage as Naomi ran, her family's survival hanging by a thread. Could she rise from these flames, with her world burning and Holt's emergency tightening the noose? Final showdown and partial victory. Naomi Ellison limped through Miami's shadows, her shoulder throbbing from the sniper's bullet that nearly claimed her life 13 days ago. The bombing of her Liberty Square hideout, orchestrated by Gregory. Holt's operatives had left 12 residents injured, and her allies Clara Monroe and Maya Torres battered but resolute. Holt's city emergency locked down the streets, his $200,000 bounty turning every corner into a trap. Naomi's family, broken by arson and attacks, clung to survival, while her CEO legacy at Pinnacle Financial was a fading spark. Yet her discovery of Holt's discriminatory banking laws fueled her defiance. Hiding in a derelict warehouse in Thovertown, 8 miles from downtown, Naomi rallied her remaining supporters via encrypted messages. Clara, leveraging her banking contacts, connected Naomi to a hacker collective, 5 tech rebels who admired her viral bank stand. They devised a plan to infiltrate Holt's private network, a server farm in Dade County, 15 miles away, rumored to hold his unedited confession to the $35 million loan scam. Naomi believed hacking the network and broadcasting the truth to millions could dismantle Holt's consortium and free her jailed supporters. Her wound ached, but her eyes blazed, the warehouse's damp air pulsing with purpose. Under a starless sky, Naomi and the hackers breached the server farm, a fortress of blinking lights guarded by drones. Clara and Maya stood watch, their radios crackling in the 80-degree night. Naomi's fingers, guided by the collective's leader Zoe, cracked the network's firewall, accessing a video of Holt bragging about bankrupting black communities to fund his empire. Her heart raced as she uploaded the confession to a live news stream, hijacking every major network. The broadcast hit millions, Holt's voice echoing his crimes, from loan scams to bombings implicating Lawrence Caldwell's consortium. X erupted, with 50,000 posts, Justice for Naomi trending globally as protesters, 300 strong, rallied outside City Hall 6 miles away. News anchors, caught off guard, debated Holt's guilt, and Naomi's supporters, jailed since the summit, gained public sympathy. Naomi believed she had won, picturing her parents and Kayla, frail but hopeful, cheering her triumph. The server farm's hum felt like victory, her broadcaster soared through Holt's lies. She gripped Zoe's shoulder, believing the world would finally see her truth, freeing her to rebuild her family's lives. Holt's cunning outpaced her strike. As the broadcast peaked, he fled Miami, his private jet vanishing into the night. From a safe house, he activated a mole in the mayor's office. Deputy Chief of Staff Elena Vargas paid $2 million to suppress the stream. Vargas, a Caldwell ally, pulled the broadcast, replacing it with a city alert claiming technical issues. News networks, pressured by consortium funds, downplayed the confession, and public momentum faltered. Naomi's triumph flickered, her supporters' chants drowned by confusion. Holt's operatives escalated their vengeance, detonating a bomb at the City Hall protest site, a blast that injured 25 people and shattered windows across 3 blocks. The explosion, staged to look like Naomi's doing, hit every news cycle, with anchors blaming her radical followers for terrorism. Police arrested 100 more protesters, their cries lost in the smoke. Naomi, still in the server farm, watched the carnage on a monitor, her stomach churning. Clara's eyes filled with tears and Maya's fists clenched, their hope crumbling. The hackers scrambled to restore the broadcast, but Vargas's override held firm. Naomi believed she had failed, her victory stolen, her allies bleeding in Holt's war. Defiance surged through Naomi's pain. She traced Vargas's digital footprint, uncovering emails confirming her as Holt's mole. Broadcasting this evidence could expose the mayor's complicity, Naomi thought, rallying her team to act. Zoe hacked a backup stream, airing Vargas's emails alongside Holt's confession, but the signal was weak, reaching only 10,000 viewers. Clara, using her last contacts, tipped a rogue detective, Marcus Lyle, who had long suspected Holt's crimes. Marcus tracked Holt to a yacht off Key Biscayne, 10 miles south, where Naomi's allies, aided by protesters, ambushed him. Holt, cornered, was arrested, his smirk gone as cuffs snapped shut. News of his capture spread, reigniting justice for Naomi, but Naomi's relief was short-lived. Holt's allies, led by Caldwell, framed her for the protest bombing, planting evidence of her orders in the wreckage. The media, still under consortium sway, ran headlines accusing Naomi of masterminding the blast to silence Holt. Her new charges carrying life in prison forced her underground again, fleeing the server farm as police closed in. Clara and Maya followed, their faces grim, the city's emergency sirens a relentless wail. Holt was jailed, but his network thrived, Vargas's betrayal a lingering wound. Naomi ran, her wound bleeding, the warehouse's memory a ghost. Had she struck a fatal blow to Holt's empire, or would his allies bury her beneath their lies? Shocking twist ending. Naomi Ellison crouched in a Miami safe house, a crumbling shack in Alapata, her breath shallow in the 85-degree heat. 14 days had passed since Gregory Holt's arrest, a fleeting victory tainted by his allies, framing her for a protest bombing that injured 25 people. The city's emergency, declared by Holt's mole, choked her with a $200,000 bounty, forcing her underground. Her family, scarred by arson, bombings, and life support attacks, fought to heal, while her pinnacle financial CEO title was a ghost. Clara Monroe and Maya Torres, her last allies, guarded the shack, their eyes weary but fierce. Naomi's shoulder, grazed by a sniper, throbbed under makeshift bandages, but her discovery of Holt's discriminatory banking laws burned brighter than pain. She clutched a salvaged laptop, its screen cracked but alive, holding fragments of Holt's confession and emails exposing his mole Elena Vargas. Naomi believed leaking this evidence could dismantle Holt's consortium, clear her name, and stop the laws set to gut black wealth. With Clara's contacts and Maya's platform, she uploaded the files to a global news server, bypassing Miami's corrupted media. Her fingers trembled, picturing her parents, Kayla, and jailed supporters free at last. The shack's dim bulb flickered, hope a fragile pulse in the humid dark. The leak detonated like a storm. By dawn, the files hit every major outlet, Holt's confession, and Vargas's emails unmasking a $35 million loan scam and a racist network led by Lawrence Caldwell. X surged with 100,000 posts, Justice for Naomi trending worldwide. As protests swelled in 20 cities, 10,000 strong. Federal investigators, pressured by public outcry, raided Pinnacle's headquarters, 5 miles away, seizing records and arresting Caldwell and 12 consortium members. The banking laws, exposed as tools to bankrupt black communities, were scrapped, sparking national reforms to curb predatory lending. News anchors, once Holt's puppets, praised Naomi's courage, her viral bank video replayed as a symbol of resistance. Her supporters, jailed since the summit, were released, their charges dropped. Naomi, still a fugitive, watched from the safe house, tears streaking her face. Her parents, released from the hospital, called her burner phone, their voices weak but proud. Kayla, her scars fading, vowed to open her clinic. Naomi believed she had triumphed, her truth shattering Holt's empire. She hugged Clara and Maya, the shack's walls no longer a cage, her heart soaring with the promise of rebuilding. Victory was bittersweet. Naomi emerged from hiding, her face on every screen, hailed as a hero but hunted by new charges tied to the protest bombing. She launched a platform, Truth Vault, to fight financial racism, using encrypted servers to expose predatory banks. Donations poured in, $500,000 in days, funding legal aid for black families facing foreclosures. Protesters marched with her banner, their chants echoing in Liberty Square 8 miles away. Naomi spoke at secret rallies, her voice a beacon for reform inspiring millions. Her family joined her, their hugs a lifeline, though trauma lingered in their eyes. She believed Truth Vault would shield her, that her platform's growth would outpace Holt's fading shadow. The safe house, now a hub for activists, buzzed with plans, and Naomi envisioned a future where her fight reshaped America's banks. Her shoulder ached, but her spirit soared, the city's neon skyline a canvas for her legacy. She stood on the shack's roof, Miami's breeze a rare comfort, believing she had turned her pain into power. A chilling twist unraveled her peace. One night, as Naomi reviewed Truth Vault's data, a cryptic video hit her inbox, smuggled from Holt's prison cell 30 miles away. His face, gaunt but smirking, filled the screen, his voice a venomous whisper. He revealed he was a pawn in a global cabal, a shadow network of financiers targeting black wealth across continents. The cabal, unnamed but vast, had funded his scams, bombings, and laws, using him to test their grip on Miami. Holt's arrest, he claimed, was a sacrifice to protect their deeper plans, and Naomi's leaks had drawn their wrath. The video ended with a threat. Her life was forfeit, her platform marked. Naomi's blood ran cold. The laptop's glow a spotlight on her fear. Clara and Maya, watching, gripped her hands, their faces pale. The safe house's walls seemed to close in, the city's pulse a warning. Naomi traced the video's source, finding encrypted signatures linked to banks in 3 countries, confirming Holt's words. Her family, now targets, urged her to flee, their voices trembling through the phone. Naomi vanished before dawn, leaving Truth Vault in Clara and Maya's hands. She slipped into Miami's underbelly, her hoodie a ghost in the shadows, evading bounty hunters and cabal agents. Her platform grew, its servers untouchable, exposing 2 more banks by week's end, but her fate remained a mystery. Protesters chanted her name, unaware of her absence, their signs dotting Liberty Square. News speculated she had died, others that she led a secret resistance. Her family, guarded by activists, rebuilt their lives. Kayla's clinic opening with Truth Vault funds. The cabal's shadow loomed, its threats echoing in Naomi's last message to Clara, a coded note vowing to fight. Miami's skyline glittered, a city changed by her stand, but her disappearance left a void. Had Naomi escaped, to strike again, or had the cabal's reach silenced her forever? The Vault of Truth reveals profound lessons about resilience and systemic racism's insidious grip. Naomi Ellison's battle against Gregory Holt's racist consortium teaches us that truth, though battered, can spark change. Her journey, from a humiliated bank customer to a fugitive exposing a $35 million loan scam, shows that courage in the face of injustice can inspire millions. Systemic racism, embedded in banking, media, and law, thrives on silence. But Naomi's defiance despite arson, bombings, and betrayal proves one voice can ignite reform. Her platform, Truth Vault, underscores the power of collective action, as $500,000 in donations fueled justice for black communities. Yet, the global cabal's reveal warns that racism's roots run deep, demanding vigilance beyond one victory. Naomi's disappearance, a haunting sacrifice, reminds us that fighting systemic evil often comes at a personal cost, but her legacy endures in every protester chanting her name. We learn to question narratives, challenge power, and stand firm, even when hope feels like a flickering ember. The story urges us to confront racism in our systems, from predatory loans to biased courts, and to amplify marginalized voices. Naomi's family, scarred but resilient, teaches us that love and community are anchors in chaos. Her fight, though unfinished, calls us to carry the torch. What injustice have you seen that needs a voice? Drop a comment with number 1 if you're inspired to act. Hit like, subscribe, and share to spread Naomi's truth. Thank you for joining this journey, and may you find strength to fight for justice every day.